Of course, the most important issue that Singaporeans are concerned about is actually housing. And housing is one of the central problems that we have to talk and we have to debate, continue to debate in Parliament and also in this campaign. As you know, recently it was reported that there is a 3-room flat in Queenstown that was sold at $935,000. So what has the government done to control or to manage the HDB flat prices? It just continued to go up. Continue to ramp up supply of the HDB flats is one thing, but at the same time, I think there needs to be an overall strategy on the part of the government to rein in the escalating public housing prices. In fact, even the BTO prices were gone above $1 million if the government did not introduce the prime and the plus scheme. You agree? They would have gone above $1 million already. So under the current system, HDB prices, including BTO prices, are not going to stop rising and not going to stop rising at such a rapid pace. So we have to actually talk about some real solutions. And PSP has proposed a solution in our affordable home scheme, which is a scheme that says that Singaporeans who just want to live in HDB flats do not need to pay land cost. That is a scheme that we think will work and will change lives of Singaporeans very differently if we implement it. So we hope the government really would consider that, and we will continue to push that in Parliament, in the next Parliament, if we are voted in. The current scheme also is actually a big burden on Singaporeans. We have said that many times in the Parliament, that when a Singaporean buy a BTO flat, actually all the Singaporeans, taxpayer, pay for it, because the government charge a land cost that's totally unaffordable for Singaporeans, for the Singaporean buyer. So the Singaporean buyer will pay one price, but there's a big chunk of the land cost that the government charge to the budget. I think some of you may know that the deficits of the HDB has been escalating in recent years. One, because the government has been charging higher and higher level of land cost. Two, because the government, for their failure of the policies before the COVID in increasing the supply of HDB flats, now is ramping up the supply. So all the construction costs, everything has gone up. But most importantly is that if the budget deficit, as a result of subsidizing not the Singaporean buyers, but subsidizing the land cost the government is putting into the reserve, if that escalates further, it will be a heavier and heavier burden on the budget. And what does that mean? That means that Singaporean taxpayers will have to pay more and more. And that's why the government comes to you and say, they have not enough money for this, not enough money for that. That is one of the reasons. Because that HDB deficit, as a result of the land cost, is in the region of $5 to $7 billion a year. Even you raise the GST of 2%, you raise additional revenue of, during the estimate done by the government during the 2022 debate, was $3 to $4 billion. So you see, you really don't need the land cost, and you can save $5 to $7 billion revenue more for the use for Singaporeans. So the government is just encouraging high prices for HDB, and it has also, in doing so, they have actually now encouraged speculation. And because of speculation, the demand for HDB, especially BTO, become even more, because there's a speculative demand for the flats, other than just a roof over their head. So the government is totally distorting the original purpose of public housing.